Staff Sergeant Danny Quintana, 30 years old. Private First Class Alex Trujillo, 23 years old. Lance Corporal Stan Sim, 23 years old. These men have three things in common. Number one, they lived in beautiful Southern California like you. Number two, they ranged between the ages of 19 and 30, 23 average. And lastly, they all died in Afghanistan. I was fortunate enough to know one of those people, but I was unfortunate to know that a family member or somebody lost a friend, a cousin, a brother, but sad enough, a daddy. In this speech, I will argue that it is time for the United States to move out of Afghanistan once and for all. I will talk about all the men that are dying in Afghanistan. I will talk about what's happening to our troops when they come back from Afghanistan. And three, I will talk about the billions of dollars that are being spent in Afghanistan. These few men that I've talked about are only 3 or 4 that have died and given up their life in Afghanistan. It is stated that as of this month, 6,055 men or troops and women have died in Afghanistan. Our people are not the only ones dying in Afghanistan, but our allies are dying as well. Over 2,000 of our allies have died in Afghanistan, and over 2,300 men and women, contract employees of the United States, have died in Afghanistan. As we send more troops to Afghanistan, there's a higher possibility of more deaths. We do not need death in the United States or in any other country. In Afghanistan itself, 13,000 people, civilians, have died in Afghanistan, innocent civilians. There cannot be any more deaths in Afghanistan. Now, our troops are being sent to Afghanistan, and some are coming back in a coffin. But what is really happening to the other men? The men who come back. Which brings me to my second point. Our men and women are coming back from Afghanistan, and they're not only physically injured, but they're psychologically injured as well. And they're coming back homeless and unemployed. 177,000 men and women who come back from Afghanistan are injured or ill. Out of those, 3,000 come back with also a mental illness. And it's been stated that 300,000 have post-traumatic stress disorder. And post-traumatic stress disorder or syndrome doesn't only last for a month or two. Some can even come back after years after the war. Our veterans are facing psychological and physical damage. Not only are they facing these two issues, but it is stated that, in the RAND study, it was stated that out of all the homeless people in the United States, 20% are U.S. veterans from the war in Afghanistan, and 22% are unemployed. Now, what the United States needs to do is help these people, help our veterans. They helped us, now it's time for us to help them. And in order to help them, we need money. And money is a big issue here in the United States. We can make programs and things that can help our veterans, but in order to do that, we need money. Which brings me to my last argument. We are spending billions of dollars in Afghanistan. It is stated that over $250,000 have been spent, $1 billion have been spent in Afghanistan. And it's been stated that over $1.3 trillion have been spent in Iraq, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. Iraq, Pakistan, and Afghanistan together. We're spending too much money. If we keep spending the money that we're spending now, in the next 11 years, we're going to be in debt for over $1 trillion. Now, like I said before, this money can be used for programs to help our troops, our returning troops, the ones who actually come back, but unfortunately come back with some sort of disorder or injury. Now, in my speech, I argued that we are spending too much money in Afghanistan. Our troops are dying, and all the issues that our troops are facing when they're back in Afghanistan. Just like these 4 men that I talked about, there are hundreds of men and women dying in Afghanistan. They're losing moms and dads, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, and friends. It is time for the United States to once and for all move out of Afghanistan. We do not need any more deaths, and we need more money to help our returning troops. Thank you very much.